Hello, friends. My name is Steve, and we're here to discuss Foundation Season 1. And we'll get into all the details, but we'll go ahead and start with introductions. And if you could just tell us if you've read the books or book or however much you've read of the series, and just so we can kind of compare. I haven't read any of the books. I've just seen the first season. So want to kick us off?
Sure, I will. I'm Layla Goshi, editor of Balladine Magazine, member of the Page Chewing Forum, and writer, poet.
I'm just a guy with a microphone, so I don't know. That's it for me.
All right. I'm Joshua. I'm also from the Page Chewing Forum, and I just watched the series and read the first book.
Okay. So from what I've read is, well, because I just finished it a little bit ago, but when I went and just kind of read some like a recap or read some reviews, I read that it was very loosely based on the book. So
that is true.
Okay.
That is completely true. So the book is more politics and trading and conspiracies, while the series has those things. The first book is the first 200 years during the Harry Seldon prediction, and everything in the book was almost everything was thrown out of the story of the series.
Wow.
Yeah. So you've got the two main people. So you have Gail Dornick and Salvor Hardin. They're both male in the books. There are no love interests whatsoever. They show up in the books, but they do not have. Well, for the first book either. They do not have any connection that I read so far.
Interesting. So I'm guessing that they added in the other timelines, or they didn't focus on that too much because of to kind of set things up for later seasons, and not to kind of have more variety, kind of get an idea of everything that was in the story. Maybe I don't know. What do you think about that, Layla?
I forgot to mention I had read the books a while back, like when really about the time Dune was popular in the 80s. Foundation kind of came back. Well, I'll say came back into orbit for me because other sci-fi folks probably were like very well aware of it, but so I always compared it to Dune. Now, I think there's some similarities in like what is it Joshua?
Yeah.
Joshua was saying that it seemed a little drier, the politics, and I just remember thinking in terms of this broad sweeping story and very serious people, and not that many women. And so that was one of my, I guess, confusions when I watched the TV series and I started thinking back, just in regard to which character is filling which role. And so, so I would probably venture to say now, this is very different than the book I remember reading.
Yes.
Well, having not read any of the books, this season was very up and down for me. I think there were some storylines I really enjoyed. It almost seemed fragmented. I think some of the storylines felt like they were written by different people. It almost felt like they weren't connected. I think the warden storyline especially felt very. It felt different. Felt very different. Had different feel to it, and I hate. I don't want. It just felt like there was a different. The caliber of performances was a little off too. I think the best performances and the most intriguing storylines for me was the Foundation storyline. With the Empire, and then with Gale. I really liked that one too, with Harry. But the other side felt a little. It kind of felt like it was like a different show, but it wasn't. So it felt a little off.
Yeah, it was interesting how they intertwined all those stories at once, trying to make it feel like, ooh, there's some mystery there, and we'll see what happens later. And are those at the same time or not? Stuff like that, which I liked it, but indeed it felt sometimes disjointed, that you were watching and like, really? This? What? And because of that, sometimes I even got to predict some stuff that was too easy. Like, I saw what you did there, but you tried to make it look cool, but it didn't work out, for me at least. I do not think, for me, that there was any episode that was lesser than the other ones. They all had their faults or issues, let's say, for me.
Yeah, I agree overall. I did find the story interesting, and I really I did like the visual elements, the giant structure on, is it
Terminus.
Say Titan, but
Terminus.
Yeah, Terminus.
Terminus, thank you. I'm thinking something else. It kind of reminded me of the film A Space Odyssey. Do you remember that with the monolith at the beginning, and here are these prehistoric people around these monoliths, and so I kind of felt like that was a callback, to.
It does that a lot.
Yeah, there were and there were other things. So I enjoyed the water world. The watery world. Yeah. So, and I really did like the dusk and dawn and day.
That is really very interesting.
How, they were playing with that whole idea of cloning. So. Uh-oh.
Taking a drink of my coffee, and I forgot to turn my mic back on.
Okay.
Yeah, blame it on the coffee. No, I thought that whole having three different emperors. I thought there were some great questions that brought up too. Of, do you have to be soulless and ruthless and not feel any sympathy to be a good ruler, or can you be a good ruler having been able to feel sympathy and be able to feel people's pain?
Yeah.
And so I think there were some great questions there that were brought up towards the end. The last episode really tied in a lot for me because I kind of felt like it was dragging, and then the last episode really tied it all together. And I thought the last episode really hooked me and brought some things around. But I thought that was very some great questions, and also having the three different stages of the emperor through his life. It kind of, and then when he does his walk and he's in the desert, it kind of felt like a lot of religious symbolism and undertones there with the Holy Trinity, and there has to be three of them and that whole thing. So
again, going back to the book, first off with the giant statue thing, that they're like, oh, what is this, the vault, what is the vault? In the book it's just like, we know what it is. They immediately know what it is. Also, the story is told, everything is chronologically, so there's no going back and forth. It's just, you're going through the ages, you're going through this time, and they have their issues that they need to solve that Harry predicted. And the emperors, for me, having only read the first book, represent like they keep reminding us it's stagnation because it's always the same. We keep doing the same stuff, and then on the other side they are implementing indeed the whole religious take. Like religion also stops a lot of innovation. It says like this is outlawed on the water planet. This is bad for you because no reason given, just the god, the sleeper, will be mad at you if you do this. And that is the reason that Harry has invented the psychohistory math equation, because it will show you that because we have had this in our history, in the Middle Ages and before, every time religion steps in or the same ruler stays longer, meaning politics, whatever, we stop invention, we stop going forward as a people. And that's why he says we're going back to the Dark Ages. We're going to have a moment that nobody knows anything anymore because we are stagnating. And the emperors represented that perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah, and even an aspect of that where, Brother Dusk is still there and it's sort of serving as an advisor, but I did question the reality of that just a little bit, because just the whole idea of power and does Brother Dusk really want to give up the power that he's had to give up? So that's an interesting, I think, ongoing storyline to think about. And I did enjoy the story of Brother Dawn and his genetic anomaly, which I think, I hope I'm not spoiling, but I think we know that was done purposely. So it just, that took it to a different level to me of just maniacal, behavior that they were playing with his life essentially, and he was not fully seen as an individual in his own right. And they're not supposed to be individuals in their own right. So lots of great questions, with that storyline, I think. Yeah,
I did like a lot, like when the space elevator, or the name of the space elevator, when that gets blown up and they're labeled as the retaliation, and then you create more enemies when you do that kind of thing. So you just create this endless cycle of you create more enemies as you go, as you retaliate, and you just create, it's just like becomes this cycle that just never stops, because you retaliate and kill almost a whole planet, and then you create more enemies, and they get even more ruthless, and that just keeps escalating as through the generations as you go. So lots of great ideas that he was playing with in that one too.
Yeah,
I really did love the destruction of the space elevator visually. It was really dramatic, and so I thought that was well done, and even wished for a little more, about how that contributed, to the rest of the empire and society. So that was another favorite moment, was just to, not favorite in a good way so much as just to imagine just the immensity of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was built, and then probably like the Titanic, no one ever thought such a thing would happen. Yeah.
Yeah, visually it was a spectacle. Every episode had something that I was like, ooh, you can see the budget here.
Yeah.
There were ups and downs as well.
Yeah.
Especially when we're on Terminus itself, it's like, oh great, it looks like poor people stacked some boxes on top of each other, but the spaceships were amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for as visually as visually appealing as a lot of the series was, there were a few times that it's like, okay, I know where the budget went, because there was a few that were just didn't look. You could tell it was like an afterthought, which, that's going to happen because the really big moments they put more into those bigger moments, and that's really what you remember, not the background in a spaceship or whatever. So,
what do you think about the actor that played Harry Seldon and how Harry Seldon was, dead? He did, yeah. Go ahead, Joshua.
I really love that actor. He is amazing in whatever he does. In The Queen, in Sherlock Holmes as Moriarty, it doesn't really matter what he does. He's always an amazing actor. But if you're reading, Harry Seldon is a very old, bald guy in a wheelchair, and you see this guy. Yeah. Then again, I love how he portrays the character. Like he just makes it his own. Like, I am Harry Seldon and I do this. I'm fine with that.
And he comes off as kind of an arrogant, which he is, an arrogant, professor type, and that he knows more than anyone, and partly he does, but I think he has some Achilles heels as well. He was his surrogate son, in the show. He wasn't, I don't think, if I got this right, I don't think that he was aware that there was a relationship, between his son and, not Salvor, but Gale.
Yeah, Gale.
Yeah.
He was in the series. He was
aware.
Yeah. He says if you stay with her, everything will hinge on that moment. It could be on one person. I think it's episode 6 or 7 that explains everything there.
But still, his son outmaneuvered him, by, I don't think his son made his own plans to save Gale, because ultimately he throws Gale in the and that. So I just thought that might be a theme of, well, here's a question: does the math predict everything, or was that in the math the whole time? The change of direction of the sun.
Yeah, I think it predicts large, big movements within large populations, and it doesn't get like specific, individual moments. It just like the bigger picture. It doesn't have like the little moments that happen, because it's harder to predict when it's easier to predict when there's large amounts of people, but harder when it's smaller. That whole relationship was just, I don't know. It's just it just didn't work for me. It just
not for me.
It didn't need to happen. Didn't need it. Just yeah.
But they needed that to set up the whole Salvor Harden connection, and I think they did that with the that Gale gets stuffed into that pod and shot into space to let the people know that there is a second foundation. It's briefly mentioned in that whole spaceship scene, but it was there was nothing else. Now we know where the second foundation should be, I think. And I think it goes over in the second book, as in they go look for the second foundation, but how do they know there's a second foundation? And that explains this, I think.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It felt very abrupt that we spent so much time with Gale, and then she gets shot into space, and then she just disappears for like an episode or two. Like, what happened to her?
In the book, he in that case doesn't even get mentioned at all anymore. After they get onto the ship to go to the next foundation, it's like, and it's gone. And that's the first, I think, 50 pages or something.
Oh, wow.
Gale is gone. So I have no idea what's going to happen. Maybe one of the other books explains why this happens and stuff, but I'll have to keep on reading.
You know, the disjointed part that came up for me when we were talking about that earlier was I really enjoyed the story on Terminus. You know, I enjoyed Salvor's role there, and I wish that had gone on longer just as its own story. But it worked. I mean, it all works together ultimately. But I liked that, you know, she was growing into a figure of importance in that community. And I was very interested in just her relationship with her parents, because you could tell there was a little something off, you know, there. So, yeah, I thought that was good.
Okay, so I guess it's too late to say that we're going to spoil everything, but on the last scene of the 10th episode is Salvor and Gale meet each other because they both end up on the same planet looking for each other, or Salvor's looking for her. Were we always supposed to know that Gale was her mom? Because I assume so, because it did seem kind of odd, but where did she come from? Like, how is she her mom? I must have missed it.
That's something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll just keep going. Yeah, there's something weird with my internet. That's something that I loved about the ending, because, but I do think it awkwardly ties them together, because I was enjoying knowing Salvor on her own terms, but now we have to think about, okay, what's going on now? How did this happen? I think the assumption must be that, you know, Gale was pregnant all those years ago, but how did you know, infant Salvor get to where she is? So.
Yeah. So you get to see in the ship that goes to Terminus with the Foundation that she gets something removed, and then it's put in a test tube or something. Cryo, whatever, and it's obvious that they would plant those again in I think the hosts that had them in the first place, but Gale not being there, it was obvious it needed to go somewhere, and I really like that. Was a kind of breaking for me, as in I saw Salvor Harding the second time after you get to meet Gale, and I'm like, so she's probably the daughter of Gale and the other dude, and like, yeah, it clicked for me, and the ending confirmed it.
Yeah.
But I think that's not for everybody. Everyone thinks about the different things, like, most people would have seen that scene and didn't give it a second thought. But I had the chance to watch it twice. And I thought the exact same thing the second time around, as in, like, yeah, and now it's spoiled for me.
Yeah. Yeah, the Salvor storyline, I just felt like we met her and she's already this. It just seemed odd that she's on this planet of settlers, basically, and she's somehow this expert of like combat and like strategy, and it just seemed like we just met her when she's already. We didn't get to kind of see her I think Gail, in a sense, was like that too because she's this math whiz, but it just gives some background on why she, or how she became, like, you know, this brilliant mathematician. But with Salvor, I just felt like we just met her and she just is like this great warden.
They explain a lot of it away by their special powers or something, like she just knows. She has this click in her head that goes like, this is going to happen now with the coin, and Gail has the same thing, like, if I stand here I wouldn't get hit by this tiny piece of debris, space debris coming inside the cabin.
Oh yeah.
And in the book it's not really it doesn't exist, so it's even harder to get a connection to the character and why the character does it. So he goes into the future, like 30 years into the future. The foundation exists. They multiply. There are so much more people there, and Salvor just suddenly like, so Harry said there is a great calamity coming, the first one. We need to be ready, and he just makes decision after decision. And I'm like, how does he know this stuff?
Yeah.
And it's not explained at all. And they try it in the series with, but she has a sixth sense. She can do this because she's special.
Mm.
It's okay. At best. It's okay at best. As an explanation.
Yeah. I think this is something where, you know, it's really interesting. There are deep themes, but yet I think the viewer is asked to be, you know, to suspend belief, I guess, or to wait for the answer. Because I did kind of feel the same way about Salvor. Like, why aren't we getting her background? But then, you know, once I watched the whole season, I was like, oh, well, you know, I can see sort of why, because they wanted to keep it mysterious. They wanted that kind of surprise at the end. But I still think it would not have hurt to have seen some of that growth of the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about either of you, but Hugo was just, oh my God, he just awful. I just couldn't. I just
does not exist. Does not exist in the book.
He's like this, you know, Han Solo type that he just seemed like he should be on a CW show. Like, he should not be in this show. It just seemed like very like,
but he's such a
stereotypical,
good guy.
You know. But and then he survives. Like, I thought he would fly away in space, and I thought that's actually pretty cool that he would die that way. Like, I thought, well, that's cool. Like, he, you know, that's how dangerous it is that he would die. And he just like comes back. It's like, how did you survive?
I knew exactly what it was doing. It was like, oh no, please don't. It would have been cool. He, for me, then again represents. So later in the book, we're 60 or 70 years ahead. Mm-hmm. And suddenly we are nearing the next crisis that Harry predicted, and it has to do with economics. So they need traders that go from planet to planet, who are linked to the Foundation, that undermine the authority of certain planets like Anacreon, by doing trade with them and installing a base of religious people from the Foundation, and so evolving their plans for the future. Like, okay, so this is how we keep technology in rotation. It's hard to explain if you haven't read it, but I think he represents that. Like, oh, there are traders, but that's like 70 years in the future.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's weird.
And when I forget the the race that comes and attacks them, and starts, and I think they turn into like stormtroopers because they're terrible shots. Like like
the Anacreons.
The Anacreons, yeah. They're like right in front of each other, and everybody misses. It's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, one person gets hit in the shoulder, and the as I said, the whole foundation, like the place itself, was so cheap compared to everything else in the series. Even the walk he did was high budget. I really loved the whole circle walk.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great scene.
But the place of the foundation itself, weak.
Yeah.
I think we're getting to the point where we're saying like everything with Salvor Hardin was the weakest point of the entire series.
Yeah, I just think the performances too. I think I just there was a few times that I was laughing out loud because it was so bad. It was just so. I don't know if it was the dialogue or if it was the delivery, but there was some portions where it was just like, who wrote this? Because it doesn't seem like the other. It seemed like the other portions took itself like seriously, and it felt like the caliber was just different. Like it just seemed like
the dialogue was better.
Yeah, and I wonder if they had a different writer or a different group of writers doing that section. But yeah, it just that was the roughest part for me. That storyline.
So, how Jose, do you remember how the caretaker of Empire? You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, but you're talking about another person here, Joshua. You mean? So the caretaker, Demerzel, the robot lady,
Yeah.
We're always talking with Jose, so yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, no problem.
I found it interesting that she was really she's really Empire. I mean, she's the one that is keeping the whole thing going. And she's a machine. So it's really a machine that is keeping Empire alive, as a concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, Steve.
No, I was just going to mention that I liked what they did with her too. Is they kind of teased us a little bit with she's finding her humanity, or she's becoming more human, or starting to develop feelings, and then in the last, or she kind of started to become self-aware of what her role is and whether or not she wanted to continue in that role, or if it was right or wrong. It kind of teased us a little bit with that, with I think in episode 8 or 9, but then of course in 10, in the last episode when she snaps the neck of the was it Dawn?
Dawn.
That was great. I didn't see that coming at all. I really like, because I was almost looking to her as like a mother figure, because he mentions in the scene before that about, he saw Brother Day as his dad because they don't have family. They're just like, that's their role is to be rulers, and they don't have anyone to care for them or to nurture them, or that he was just like, he had a role to play. He wasn't able to be like a human. He just had to be fit in a certain role. So I thought that was a great scene where he was like in her shoulder, almost like looking for like a mother figure, like a parental figure, looking for someone to save him, like a little kid, like scared of what's about to happen, and she snaps his neck. That was great. That was great.
Yeah. And it's also it also poses a question, as in weakness is not allowed. That's the motto of the Empire, or was it revenge on her part for the whole the priestess thing?
With the
Zephyr Halima, yeah. Ooh. Was it revenge for that whole thing? Because she's religious. She's a robot, but she is religious. She has a conscience. She's not mentioned in the first book at all. But the three emperors aren't mentioned at all as well. So I have no idea for the future. Wow. But I know So Asimov also wrote I, Robot and the whole Robot series, and she represents the remainder robot from that era when they became self-aware.
Oh, okay.
So that's a throwback to that. Same with other things they did. The ship that blinks in and out.
Oh,
Invictus.
Yeah, where
Yeah. In is it the iRobot book? I think so. There is one story about a ship that has been made by an artificial intelligence that can jump hyperspace and disappears. We got Event Horizon from that, by the way, the movie. From that story, but also I felt the link as well from there. Like the ship jumped and disappeared, and it became legend, myth, and stuff like that. I was like, another iRobot reference, because Invictus, it's not in a book.
Yeah, I just love that, and not only that type of callback, but I think it's relevant today with our current conversations about sentient AI and that kind of thing. And so it's appealing to a viewer on an even more relevant level, I think, right now too, just as a story and something engaging to think about, which I've mentioned Murderbot before. Again, not
read it yet.
I don't think of it as a great story, but definitely that's an appealing theme.
Yeah, a relevant story.
A relevant story, yeah.
Kind of made me think about Blade Runner.
And Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yeah, and also it's funny you mentioned Event Horizon, because the interior of the Invictus, the interior is very similar to Event Horizon from the movie. I'm not sure if Event Horizon if the interior was inspired by Asimov's.
So in the short story with the AI, the ship gets launched with 2 passengers aboard, 2 people who were not supposed to be there, but they were like, guinea pigs, let's shoot them off into space. And they disappear for a couple of seconds, and in that time you read that they hear in the background, "Hail Beelzebub, hail Satan," and stuff like that. That they travel through hell, like in Event Horizon, and they come out on the other side of the galaxy. So they survive, though. But it wasn't a pleasant experience for both of them.
Interesting. Could definitely feel the inspiration in the interior, like the windows and stuff. Like very similar. Yeah.
That's what I think makes this show appealing. All of the callbacks and the feeling of familiarity with kind of a different story. But because I started watching it just, I'm not overly excited about the show, but it's like fun to watch, comforting to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you recognize all of the tropes and the callbacks and the themes, and does give us something to think about. Especially the stagnation of empire, I think.
Yes.
And he started writing this, or I looked it up, the book was published in the 50s.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is the most interesting thing about this whole series, and of course the book for me at the moment. We are in that situation at the moment. We are seeing what he actually predicted, let's say. So like what is it, Nostradamus or something? He took our history and with those the things that happened and the statistics, he predicted in the book that people would forget, would stop thinking about how everything works. So he did that in the book with atomic power. So the 50s was the atomic boom as well, because of course we had right before that the movie's out now, Oppenheimer.
Right.
Yeah, so we come from that. Everybody's getting electric power through nuclear plants. We're getting more advanced blow dryers, whatever in the 50s. That like the whole expansion of like home appliances was crazy, and he predicted that in the future people would forget how those things worked. And that's why we're going to the dark ages, because if you ask someone today, like, do you know how this computer works, or do you know how this cassette player, or what even a cassette player is, people don't know anymore. We're going to an age that people just buy and don't care about how stuff works. We still have enough people who know this, but they're becoming limited. Mm-hmm. It's I knew a guy once that worked for the IT department of the nuclear plants in Belgium.
Oh wow!
He says they're so far behind on technology, and there's a reason for that, because people can't make it new, and the people who are there need to reapply You have to learn older stuff to make it work.
Yeah.
We're forgetting how things work, which is weird.
Yeah, it's interesting you're saying that in regard to this story too, because something that's occurring to me now, I think I was trying to say earlier, was about Harry's mathematics. And I don't know where this show is going, but he's assuming, just like Empire, he's assuming that his mathematical equation is going to run sort of on autopilot, that he knows the future, that, okay, he sees how everything's going to set up, so it's just going to run on autopilot, which is really the same thing happening with Empire. And so, the issue of his adopted son, maybe taking an action he had forecasted, and the same thing with the stagnation of Empire. I hope the film is headed in a way that still leaves room for the individual, that says the individual still counts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Individual action still counts.
To come back to the whole everybody's forgetting stuff, there's a reference. There are lots of references to it, but one reference was really like in your face when they said they found the Invictus, and that ship was built 700 years ago, and they say they never built an engine like it after that, because nobody knows how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, aha. So it's already happening.
And it almost outsmarts them, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A few of them. Well, kills a few, so.
Yeah.
That really, Joshua, I think that is a really interesting observation about the film, and also about reality, because it does always seem that we go in cycles, like we have to learn something again, or something comes back around and we have to look at it from a different perspective.
Yep.
And so it is kind of cool that that's also yet one more deep idea that's running through this story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has more layers than you would think if you just watch it.
Right.
Yeah, and I think Layla, you mentioned the math, and I think it goes to belief and faith versus science, or belief in science, and foundation doesn't believe in it because what I think what is the future bends to us. We don't bend to the future. Almost like this stubborn mentality of what we're gonna we are infallible. We will make this what we wanted to make it, but they refuse to listen to science or to math. And it's going to be not good for them in the end, I'm guessing. But so it does play with that as well of belief and faith versus science and facts, I guess you could say.
Harry Seldon, not in the book, but in the series, he mentions that he handpicked every person on that ship. Which is kind of impossible if you think about it, as in the book, it's 250,000 people that are on that ship. It's not in the series, but it's in the book. Like 250,000 people, how do you hand select that? But the reason he mentions this, I think, is because all of those people are either learned people or functional people, as in they know how this works, they know how that works, and they need the Anacreants, when they land on the planet to kidnap those people, they need them for the operation of the spaceship that is 700 years old, because those people still know things that other people don't, because they are not part of a religion. They call it like the Harry Seldon followers, it's a religion and stuff like that, but they're all science people, all of them. Harry selected science people to further the knowledge that they have, instead of letting it decline because of empire or because of religion.
So the big I guess institutions are power and governmental power, and then I guess educational power, or what would three represent, and then maybe power of the faith, and then I guess the common people.
They're just there.
Background.
So the politics is empire, religion is the whole I forgot the name of the Zephyr women thing with the circle, and then you have the educational side, the foundation.
There was one line from the last episode that struck me a little bit, and I'm not sure if either of you caught this too, or but when Demerzel is comforting, I think it's one of the brothers, I think it's the brother Don, and she tells him all love is programming.
Yeah. That's a quote.
Yeah, that's a quote.
Slap it on the box.
That comes back to really a lot of human instincts, I guess, or habits. There's always that argument: is this nature or nurture type of thing? Is this, do we believe this because we originally thought of it ourselves, or is it something that's been absorbed from society? And love is a whole other level, faith is a whole other level, but at the same time it seems like that's what he's two things. I don't know if that's what the author's asking, but I think that's what the film is asking. So, and I really can't remember if that was part of the books, because as Joshua said, the whole love story isn't there.
You said you didn't know if there were women. There were exactly 2 women mentioned in the whole first book.
Wow.
One of them is the wife of an important politician, and the other one is a serving girl of that couple.
Yeah, that was that's where I was thrown for a loop, because I thought, I don't remember any women characters in that book. So
No, it's all men, and they're all drinking either was it port or wine, and they're smoking cigars, and they're having conversations, and that's 230 pages of conversations and politics and intrigue.
hey, that's that was the 50s, I guess. Yeah. So, but on that whole idea of love as programming, that may be something the film is going to set up as, love and faith may overcome, or something like that.
Maybe.
I am still intrigued, though.
Yeah, it is intriguing. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that was one of the lines that really stuck out to me. All of his programming.
Yeah. Yeah. Deep.
I would love to go into more detail, as in some things that were said, but I'm so bad with quotes. If I haven't watched it like 50 times or something.
One thing I am curious about, the idea of of Harry Seldon, being in the wheelchair, and I'm questioning not only the choice of Asimov to use that to give that character his attribute in the book, but also the choice of the filmmakers not to include that attribute in the show. Because on some level that could, I guess, depends on where they're going to take Harry through the show. Yeah. But I also was wondering if they were trying to avoid an association with Stephen Hawking.
Oh yeah.
How would that have complicated our perceptions as viewers? Would we? I mean, we know better. That they're 2 different characters. But would maybe the average viewer just assume, oh, this is a story about Stephen Hawking, or the genius physicist. So I guess we'll see where Harry goes, and if that choice bears out. But I'm always a proponent of people of different abilities being able to be included in acting and in shows, and so just an interesting choice, I think.
Yeah, and the whole 2 planets. So you've got Anacreon and Thespis. That they are both responsible for blowing up the sky bridge or whatever it was. Thespis, I don't think it's mentioned in the first book. I didn't see it anywhere. So it's also something I'm like, okay, so Anacreon attacks the Foundation because they need the technology, which is almost in the series, but then that they have to work together to defeat the Empire or bring the Empire down in some way. I'm interested to see what this goes, because that's not what the book sets up at all at the moment. So
yeah, I thought the same thing, Layla, with Harry. I think they avoided the wheelchair, him in a wheelchair, maybe because of the actor, and also because it would seem a little too close to Stephen Hawking. Like that's where everyone's mind would go. So maybe that's what they tried to avoid.
I didn't think about it like that. But yeah. Very interesting.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Still, great actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other one I really love is Lee Pace, the brother day.
Yeah.
Brother day. Oh. Seriously.
Just the portrayal of Brother Day, I think makes it fun to watch because he's so arrogant and is devious, so we'll just see where he ends up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have gone into season 2. I won't say more, but will we wait for the entire season 2 to finish before we discuss it?
I think they're on episode 9 now.
8 or 9, yeah. I'm waiting till it finishes so I can binge watch the entire season.
Yeah, I'm about 4 episodes in. So.
Yeah, it'll be, it looks like the 10th episode will be on the 15th. So, is that this Friday? Yeah. So next Friday. A week from, or 6 days. Yeah.
Good to know.
But yeah, I thought, he's very, at first he felt very stiff and robotic, but then I started to realize that that's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be this, almost like a, very one-dimensional. So by the end, it's like this. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah,
he had some character growth, which is cool to see. When they in the beginning, they're all like exactly the same mannerisms, the same movements, everything the same, and then they're sticking out. And at a certain point, you're like, they're different in a way, and then you get to know that it has been polluted from before them. The whole gene. So it's it's interesting.
Yeah.
Really good
There's
idea.
a lot to love. yeah. There's a lot to love, but there's the downside still way up. Like Hugo and everything, the foundation itself.
Yeah, I felt like it had potential. I think it just felt like a different show a lot. There was a few moments, but I think it just felt, and even like really great actors. I forget his name. He's in The Wire. He's Salvar's dad. She calls him dad. He's brilliant, and I don't know. I just didn't do it for me, but I thought the last episode really did a great job though of tying it all together, or a lot of it together.
It did. Yeah, it did. It doesn't fly as high as The Expanse, but
well, I mean, The Expanse. It's The Expanse, so that's tough.
I know, but it had the potential. To be honest, for me, it had the potential. All the ideas they put together, if some tweaking, and it would have been an 8 or a 9 for me. But it isn't right now.
Yeah. What about you, Layla? What are your thoughts overall on the first season?
Overall, I think it's successful overall, watchable, interesting. Not what I remember of the book, but I'm trying to teach myself to not have expectations of adaptations.
Yeah.
From now on, and I so far I'm still with them on everything. There's nothing that is such a big turnoff that I want to stop watching, because I think they're handling the deeper themes well and letting us, the viewer, think about it more than being heavy-handed about what we're supposed to think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's more of those types of ideas are more effective to me when it's done subtly and when it's not done overtly. It's there if you want to explore it, but it's not like, because when it's too heavy-handed, then it just doesn't have the same impact for me anyway.
Yeah.
Right. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So good stuff.
It is.
Overall it's pretty good. Just
Yes, it is.
It's very up and down. Very, like, there's some great great colors. The scene with Gale and Harry in the ship. I think it was in episode 8 or 9. That all the different lighting and the color, that was really great. Really, there's some really great scenes.
Yeah, she wakes up when the space jump happens. Again, 2001: A Space Odyssey with the space and time. The black hole. When he's going hyperspace, it's going all colors. It was weird. Then seeing the Star Bridge for the first time, I was like, you felt like that person standing there. Whoa! How long is that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were several times, and I was like, wow, this is just. Oh. And then I think about the Foundation again, and I'm like, oh, those boxes, man.
Those boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, overall, not bad. I thought it was good. The last episode, like I said, the last episode was a highlight for me. So it finished on a high note for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, cool. Anything else either of you can think of?
Not at the moment. I'm kind of waiting now to finish season 2 because I have thoughts, but I think it's ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just hoping that it would be a continuation of the thoughts I formed now about the whole series. Like, I hope it really keeps on giving me those crumbs of where is this going, as in where are we going as humans in the future. Are we losing everything to faith and politics, or do we survive those dark ages?
Yeah. So Layla, without spoilers, are you enjoying the second season so far more than the first, or what are your thoughts?
It's an expansion of things. I think there are characters that kind of like, who are we talking about again? I forget. Hugo.
Oh no.
There's a couple of. I think there's a couple of Hugo characters. I could be wrong. I'll wait and see what you think. But still, the story moves forward, and there are things to talk about. Definitely, I'll just leave it there.
All right.
Relationships are deepening and stuff like that. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's encouraging. Nice. So I guess we'll plan on season 2 sometime. We'll figure it out. Episode 10, I think, in another week. So binge it.
Count on me being last second again.
Yeah, last second. I'm glad you can make it, though.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah, it was great to great to hear your thoughts on it, and then especially having read the books and having some of that too is
yeah. I started the second one now. It's very, very disturbing in the beginning, as in, oh, more talk. Great. I don't know any of these characters. Great.
Oh,
have you read
wow.
Dune? Joshua, have you read Dune?
Only the first book.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to start the second book, but they're still in moving boxes. So.
Oh.
Do you see a similarity in tone and prose?
Yes, but even then, Dune had more story to tell. It had more detail than what Asimov wrote. I'm not saying he's a bad writer, because I still got through it in a fast pace, to be honest. But I wasn't, because I watched the show first. I wasn't thinking like, oh, now I'm going to read some dry politics. That was not the first thing that came to mind when I started that book.
Yeah.
And Dune is it has politics, but it had more content. It was just
more character.
better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now I'm thinking I might take a peek at the book Foundation, hopefully before next time.
Yeah, I'm thinking so
Yeah, I
too.
won't be able to
Well,
read it all, but just kind of skimmed, yeah, to refresh myself.
It's only 230 pages, but
Mhm.
man, is it dry.
oh no.
Steve, I would recommend having a cigar while you read that, because it is implied in the book. It needs to be done.
It must be done.
It must be done.
Must be done.
This is the way. This
This is the way. Yeah. Who am I to ask questions? It just is what it is. Well, cool. So until we talk about season 2, Joshua, where can people find you in the meantime?
On the page chewing forums.
Awesome. And Layla.
The same page chewing and social media.
Nice. And I will add Layla's social media links in the description for the show. So be sure and check that out. So yeah, great. So thanks both of you for coming and hanging out. A lot of things I didn't think about until you both brought them up. So it's always a good thing. So thanks everyone, and we'll talk to everyone soon.